Hello, hello. Welcome back to the weekly Monday Motivation Podcast, No More Excuses. I am your host, Sandi Ballard. And again, I know you veteran listeners are tired of hearing about this, but if you have not been here before, please feel free to connect with me on social media, on my website, www.badassbusiness.coach, and find me again, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and connect with me. And I really appreciate it when you do and reach out to me and share my podcast on your social media to help others. And then let me know, because when you connect with me, I'll connect with you, and maybe we can help share each other's posts and connections and things like that and help each other out, because that's what this is all about, right? And it's also about no more excuses and making amazing big shit happen. Yes, and I am the Badass Business Coach because I help people realize their badassness so they can do more, be more, and achieve more. Yes, in this crazy ass, uncertain roller coaster, constantly changing time, right? Because again, just like that, things are changing again. You know, we go from the mask thing, suggested to required, only if you can't maintain the 6 feet, the social distance, which is personal space, back to required, but only in this state or this city or in this type of environment. Businesses open, closed because of maybe staff or potential COVID infections, to, they didn't make it through the quarantine, or they were damaged in the riots and looted, right? In California here, where you have to BYOB, which is bring your own bags, to, otherwise you pay for them. And through this whole thing, we've had them go to, don't bring in your bags, we can't use them because they might be carrying the vid, to, we're not, so they're not charging for bags. But then, okay, you can bring your bags in because we're charging now, but you have to pack your own groceries. And that kind of whiplash crap. And then oh my God, driving up to see my daughter, and she's in LA County, and no one has their damn restrooms open except in a restaurant. It's like, and we just went on a small road trip, and finding a bathroom that's open, it's like, come on, people, that is a bodily function, and some of us actually have to pee and can't hold it longer than 2 hours, right? I mean, it's just some of the stuff is killing me, and it's crazy, and it's like just inconsistencies and the change. Right? Just take a breath. And if nothing else, this is helping me learn to go with the flow, because that is something that I have struggled with my whole life, and then we have to think about, when I was at Walmart, God forbid, the other day, I had to remember, because then they went back to, we're charging for bags now. I just, it was like, the cashier is not in control of whether they charge for bags or not. And the barista at Starbucks telling that crazy woman who just went off on a tangent I saw on social media, if they require you to wear a mask, don't yell at the Starbucks barista. It's not their personal mission to piss you off. Well, maybe, but no. For the most part, it's Starbucks rule, or it's CDC's, or the governors, it's the states. We don't know. I don't want to wear a mask, much like I don't want to pack my own damn groceries, because I'm usually have a lot, because I try not to go, and I'm backing up the line because I'm not good at it, right? I found myself just shaking my head and laughing and saying what the fuck more times than I can count lately, because it's, again, like I've talked about in the last few podcasts, whiplash from, what do we do here, and what's open, not open, blah, 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 right? And it's, I've also said it's okay to so many people, because it's not their rule. They have, it's the bearer of bad news. I've told people, just do your best. It's okay. Calm down. No worries. Because people, they're frantically apologizing, or like shouting out, don't touch that, because they haven't cleaned it yet. You can't put your hand on the counter until they clean it. Servers are busting their ass because of skeleton crews. and they're apologizing because the food isn't out yet, or they're hustling and they didn't get your drink to you. It's the increased prices of food and the lack of specials. And here in Huntington Beach, the lack of happy hours. You can't be mad about it right now, or at all, because things are different. But as much like I spoke in last week's podcast, creating the awareness, becoming more aware of the habits and you've had, your tone when talking to someone, and being fully present, diligent, and intentional, right? You know, even during all this time, I've probably preached this, finding broken processes and procedures in your business and hell at home, realizing shit was not going right. And now, I'm observing all the possibilities as things have reopened and people have reemerged and we've been able to go out cautiously. The restaurants we've gone to, reduced menus. Well, that's going to create more efficiency and probably yield a higher profit. And, because there's sometimes restaurants you're like, oh my God, there's so much to choose from. Well, guess what? They limited it down to the favorites, and voila, there it is. And yes, even at our favorite bar, they're measuring the pours, for God's sakes. Well, right, because they realized they were losing their ass. And, so maybe not as strong a drinks, what will that yield? Better profits, but also safer for people going home, right? Also, more streamlined and effective processes on dealing with customers, orders, and returns. Now, my daughter's going back to work. She went back, but they haven't opened yet. And they have their process on when you walk in their store, you have to use their hand sanitizer and you are given a mask. And that's how it's going to be, at least for now, right? And just think about all the possibilities, all the time that's saved by these virtual meetings. I've heard a lot of people say, as much as I hate them, they've saved me a lot of time. Oh yeah, we met this one woman through a group, and she was talking about how more connected she is with her team, because when they were all in person, because of her having younger children, she went in later than her team, and they were all out in the field, and then she was in meetings, and they kept missing each other. But now everything virtual, they're still going out in the field because they're essential, but they're able to connect because her kids aren't going to school, so she didn't have to miss out on meeting with them. So higher productivity, better connections with your staff and your team, right? And I've seen people do more meal planning and prepping. Ordering groceries online can help you save tons of time. I know some people hate grocery shopping. I kind of like it, but um, you save time and money because you're avoiding spontaneous purchases. If you're hungry or you just see stuff, like I actually just went to the grocery store the other day to pick up a prescription and hamburger buns, and I walked out with 6 things, but 2 were cleaning wipes. Success. It was like Christmas Day, right? There's finally cleaning wipes on the counters, but so spontaneous purchase, but needed. But also, I end up forgetting something. Like I got home, didn't get cheese because it wasn't on my mind. So, you're going to save time there from going back or having to go again. And if you have little ones, I'm sure this is saving time and stress with the arguments at the in the candy and cookie aisle or cereal aisle, or at the checkout with the candy and that stuff. So thinking about all the possibilities, right? And basically, with this continued roller coaster ride that's called a shit show. Just imagine walking into if we can ever walk into a carnival again, or Disney World, and they have a ride called the shit show. You get on there and you never get off, right? That sums up everything you've done and learned. You take everything you've learned from this shit show ride during quarantine, and now as we reemerge, think about the possibilities, right? Clearer thinking, more time with family, realizing you were working way too much. Just heard that from someone last week. Better habits, improved processes and procedures, I've talked a lot about that, and I've talked a lot with my clients about that. And then, I did one podcast on purging business and home, right? You guys were all about purging and cleaning when you got shut down, right? But now with a cleaner house, or maybe you have a little bit messier house because you're not as obsessed about it. You realized you were just obsessed. Who knows? One end of the spectrum or the other. But, more efficiency, increased productivity, leaner business models. Oh my God, the possibilities. Okay, we've got to shift our mindset to think about the possibilities that are, they aren't definite, but they are endless, and they will help more businesses revamp their business model and achieve the goals, which again could be increased efficiency, productivity, and yes, hopefully profit. The same goes in your personal life. As I mentioned, online shopping saves money. Maybe you're doing more bargain shopping. It can offset the higher costs of food, toilet paper, and even utilities from everyone being home. I know our electric bill increased a lot, but we also saved a ton in gas because we didn't drive the car, right? And if you were able to get any assistance from, whether it's a PPP loan or anything else from the SBA, maybe you got some of that PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or general unemployment, or anything else. What are the possibilities that came from that? I know, paying the bills, right? Was there a way you could utilize that? This week, make a list. And this is what I want you to do. Think about the possibilities. I want you to open your minds as we're getting out, because again, it's another set of, we're just in a different stage of uncertainty, right? This whole thing of, I just read that a couple other restaurants are closing again because of staff having COVID, or, did they get it from someone they were outside the world, or was it because of a customer? And again, everyone's doing a great job of wearing masks. But, this week, I want you to make a list of 3 things that changed as you came out of quarantine, and the possibilities that have come or will come, or the possibilities that will come from those changes. For example, less clutter, you feel more organized, less stress, increased productivity. And what are the possibilities that can come from having that? Maybe because of all of this, you chose not to fly, or because of flights being canceled, you decided to take the kids or family on a road trip. So you feel more connected. The possibilities there. Finding new places to just explore, right? RV sales probably, or in rentals, probably went through the roof. So I said we saved a ton on our gas for the car because we didn't drive it. Well, we took that money and we were able to pay off a credit card. Those possibilities are out there. So, reduced menu in a restaurant, less waste, definitely less waste, and increased profit. So, 3 things that changed, and the possibilities you see that can come from those changes. Again, if you can't figure it out, or you're just exhausted from the constant back and forth and your plan going bust because your governor or mayor or whomever, boss, or maybe you decided to change your plan or your process or your procedure, and it affected others. If you can't figure it all out and you're exhausted from that, contact me, sballard@growingforward.biz. Comment here, find me, message me on social media. Let's talk. And I'm also starting a group specifically for business owners. That I have ones, but I want to specifically focus on these constant changes in processes and procedures, and talk through this so we can help each other manage this mania. All right. Have a great week. I look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.